Hi, it's Jason Perico for Bianchi Honda. Trust. It's what we all think about before making a big purchase. Here at Bianchi Honda, we earn your trust while giving you a great deal. Lease the sporty and reliable 2019 HR-V LX all-wheel drive for only $198 per month. Bianchi Honda, trusted for over 50 years and still growing in our community today. That's why, around here, we Honda.
Alright, welcome back. Sports Blitz. Time now for the Gannon Lady Knights Coaches Show. We're going to wrap up the season with Jim Brunelli, the head coach. Welcome back. You've been on the road.
Yeah, a little bit. It's good to be back. Bittersweet. You know, like coming in here, talking hoops. May have to get me back in here to do something else.
Let's do it. Let's do it.
I like it.
Now, you just want to still be working.
Yeah, well, I want to be coaching my team.
Not that you aren't working, but...
Yeah. I'm going to make that clear. You know, for all the people that don't think coaches work outside of the practice, we probably do more work in the off season than mostly anybody, because that's when we do a lot of our recruiting and all that other stuff. But you know, I always say the basketball part from, you know, October when official practice starts until the end, that's what they pay me for, and you know, or whatever. But that's just the fun part, you know what I mean? The season and the practice and all that other stuff in it. And it stinks when you've been with a team since October 15th. That's the official start, but obviously we've been assembled before that. You know, we started preseason in September. So we're a team September, October, November, December, January, February, and March. 7 months. When you're with somebody, and then October, you're with them every day, except for the days you give them off. And in that case, you know, if you give off a weekday, because, you know, like when our season is rolling in January, our off day is Sunday, because we play Wednesday, Saturday, so we give them off. That's our mandatory 1 day a week for the week. But in preseason and non-conference stuff, early November, our off day could be a Tuesday, because we might have a tournament Saturday, Sunday, that type of thing. And even when we have those off days, we can't do anything basketball with them, but the kids still pop by to do their study hall and all that other stuff. They pop in the office. So when you've been on a thing for 7 months, seeing kids and being with them, you kind of go through withdrawals. You know what I mean? You really do.
Sure.
And I would have loved to have kept going with this team, because it was a good group. It was a really good group.
That's, you know, if I finish up a show or even the basketball season, you think, man, I'd like to take just 3 days off. Do you do that? You have to do that to a certain
you mentally decompress.
Yeah.
You decompress, and that's what I kind of did, and that's what I asked our staff to do, just kind of step away. But it's so hard. We're finding ourselves texting each other. We're in different parts, you know, and we're texting each other, hey, this, that, and then, you know, it's March Madness, and you're watching. I'm watching former mentors and colleagues that I coached with, you know, finishing their tournaments, or you know, like tonight's Selection Monday for the women. I'm hoping some of my former people that I know get selected. I really think there's a couple of them that have a shot. So I'm excited for them. So I get to live vicariously through them. And being that, you know, in 11 years as head coach, I've been at 5 NCAA tournaments, and I really want to get this group back here, and because it's a time of the season it's like no other. And we got to experience a little bit of mini March Madness with the PSAC making the tournament, going in and beating Edinburgh, which we'll talk about later today. But those are the little things, and you want to experience that with the team that you have.
Cool stuff. You made some strides this year, of course. So now that the season's over, can we admit that to do what you did with a young team, you won't say it in the middle of a season, but as young as they were, there were some moments there.
No, some really good moments. I was really proud of this group. You know, like we talked about before, you know, a lot of the substitutions that we did make, we were putting in somebody that was a freshman or a sophomore. Do you know what I mean? And so when you put in that, you know, we had our ups and downs with the turnovers. We never really got that grasp, and you know, we're going to work on that for the future, and hopefully we can not turn the ball over as many times as we did this season. But just a great group. You know, we ended up with 2 second-team all-conference players, and Nicole LaCava and Chelsea York, and then we ended up with the PSAC West Freshman of the Year in Tori Obenrader, and super proud of that, which I think in the one article it read that was the first award like that for Gannon got.
Really?
The SAC.
Somehow I missed that part.
Yeah, I think it was in the PSAC, and I'm not sure. We got to go and stat check that, because I think that was part of the PSAC website who put it out
Okay,
there. You
all
would
right.
think they would know what they're talking about.
Sure,
so I'm hoping
sure.
that's the case, but
Sometimes
if I
they
miss
got
somebody-
a bonehead like me that found out the Twitter password though, so I wouldn't be so
Yeah.
sure. Check
Yeah.
on that one, Coach.
Yeah.
But it seemed like a shoo-in. Somebody from Gannon was going to win Freshman of the Year because what? Do you know the final statistic? How many weeks?
Oh boy, that's a great question. I'm sure it's Googleable.
I
but
want to say 4 or 5. You didn't take it home.
I think it was less than 4.
That's
I think
crazy.
it was 4 or less. I think
Yeah,
it was 4
I
or less.
mean-
I think we figured out that it was about 4.
Remarkable.
Yeah.
And that doesn't. There's still work to be done, so you
Oh,
don't want to
absolutely.
rest on that. But
No, absolutely. And Tori, who got it, just a tremendous young lady. And Boston, who won a few there as well. Another young lady with talent that we have to, our job is to make them better. And each of them, we're going to dissect their game from their freshman year and really work on some of the things we want them to get better in the postseason. That's what the postseason is. There's really no off season once you get to college. I know people say there's an off season. We tell the kids when they come in, there really is no off season. There's just different levels of on. And like right now, we go back. We'll start up the 25th. We have to give them 2 weeks off. We're giving them a little more than 2 weeks. And then we hit postseason, which is now limited on time. We're only allowed 8 hours total a week, which we were in 20. So it's like what we did at the beginning of the year, and then 2 hours with the basketball. So we're really going to work on the strength and conditioning, and then just zero in on the bite-sized things that we want to work on for them offensively and defensively.
when the freshmen would win Freshman of the Week, would you see an added spring in their step in practice or anything like that, or ill effects maybe?
I can't say I saw either one of those.
That's probably good.
And I think that's a good thing because you don't want it to get to their head too much. Although we would announce those awards when we got a PSAC Player of the Week, we would announce it to the team because not everybody's on social media. I wish nobody was on social media on our team, but I can't do that. Maybe I can talk to Coach Ariyama and he can talk to our kids because they do that. And there's a direct correlation between social media and if you look at the stats, when they started doing that and when he goes completely off, it's ridiculous. I mean, I know it's UConn, but they're like 100 and something to 1. So it works for them.
It's gotta mean something.
Because kids are too accessible. Kids are too accessible.
Yeah.
And you and I can't say you and I because I'm a lot older than you, but when I played, there was nothing. If somebody wanted to get on you, they had to do it at the game or be in the parking lot.
I'd say the same, yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Now they can get to you. And it's so unfair. It's so unfair that you can have somebody get all charged up and direct tweet at a player about their performance when that person probably couldn't carry their uniform in a duffel bag that I would provide for those people.
Right.
And the same goes for coaches. You see it all the time.
Yeah.
See it all the time, people getting blasted.
Oh, people just...
everybody sits back. I know there's a lot of people that haven't lost a lot of games sitting in a cushy chair. It's just the way it is. And some of them, I hate to say it, but I probably forgot more about the game of basketball than some of them ever knew.
That's safe to say.
And it's one of those things where, it's just, it's not a good thing. It's not helping the sport. Whether it's NFL, no one deserves that. It's like, the episode that happened with Westbrook. Just because you pay $600 to sit in a seat doesn't mean you can say anything you want to them.
Right.
And I think we had that issue with Charles Barkley and some other players back in the day.
Yeah.
What gives you the right?
Well, and the NBA is a different monster than, say, NCAA basketball, but even that'll happen at the youth level. I've heard things recently about... we're running out of referees. People won't referee youth sports because of the behavior of people in the crowd.
Have you been to one lately?
Oh, yeah.
It's ridiculous.
And don't get me wrong, I'm not perfect. I've been the leader of a high school cheering section, but I was in high school at the time.
Yeah.
So it's tough because there's a lot to be learned from sports. So when I think about it at a youth level, you send your kid. Listen to me. I've never parented anybody, but you send your kids there to learn to exist with, deal with your own issues.
Adversity.
Right.
Different things like that.
Right.
And it's true. It is true. But, I'll get off my rant about social media. It's
everywhere.
There's some ill effects to it. There's some ill effects,
Sure.
and it's causing a lot of problems. But to go back to that, we announce it in practice. Team gives a big hand because I think that's important. It's not. Yes, it's an individual award, but it's just as much as a team award it is because, hey, so-and-so may have got it because she scored 18 points, but you got to remember there's some people passing her the ball. So it's a team thing.
Sure.
And there's a reason why, in some cases, rebounds, yeah, she goes after a lot of them, but she got some of them because some other people did their job and boxed out some certain people, and she just got to that ball before. So it's a team thing. And even when they got, like we do a Gannon student athlete of the week, male and female, and we would announce those when our kids would get them. So it's important. You got to celebrate certain victories, and those were the ones that I think we celebrated. And then we do some other things with a hard hat. We have a hard hat for the guards and a hard hat for the posts. And like I taught you about a game impact sheet where you're not looking at scored and points. You're looking at free throw attempts made. You're looking at rebounds. You're looking at assists, turnovers, blocks, steals, and then you subtract some things from it. So we give those out as well.
Coach, it seemed to me that at certain points this year you had players that were asked to kind of adapt their role on the team, if you will. Like a Nicola Cava probably could be a 3, 4, or 5. Is that safe to say?
Especially the 4 part. The
Okay.
4 part. She started her career as a 4 here. And then you're right. Yeah, we asked that. And in certain cases when kids got injured or got in foul trouble, in order to get a group out there, sometimes you have to adjust and adapt. And I think that's, I think I can give us an A for effort on that. And in some cases, we don't get that high of a grade because we didn't adapt quick enough.
Right.
But I think that's part of it. You're dead on there, and it's one of those things where there was a lot of kids who played some different roles. Sydney Mitchell, Chelsea Rourke did. Tori played some guard and some post.
Right.
Lauren played some forward and some center. And we had Haley come off the bench and Ivy come off the bench and play point guard and 3.
She played all 3, Ivy.
Yeah, and
beginning.
played all 3 in the
Yeah.
beginning, and we really try to make it where, hey, if one of our guards gets the ball, get it and go. So they got to be able to handle the ball, but you're right. There was a lot of them that did. Sydney took a big role towards the end because she was playing point guard when she was playing shooting guard the entire time. Going from receiving the pass, for 20 some odd games, now you're initiating everything. And I thought she did a fantastic job. And according to the stats, she had 117 assists this year, and she had more assists than turnovers, and that's always a good sign.
I could see there being, within the span of 4 years in the development of these players, I could see there being situations where you look at it after 4 years and you go, man, if we could have asked, Tori to play the 2 or 3 early on, and she could have learned a couple things, then she could have been that much better of a player. So while your record at the end of the year maybe wasn't ideal, or you moving people around in that rotation wasn't ideal to you as a coach, that experience could prove invaluable.
No, exactly right. And those are things that coaches, I can't speak for all coaches, but I would have to think that they fight with that decision. I think there were times this year where certain people probably should have got a starting spot for a couple games. And, it's one of those things where, I try to talk to our kids, there's starters and there's finishers. You know what I mean? And trying to get to the point that, hey, we need you. But some people put a lot of weight on starting. I put a lot of weight on finishing. Who's on the court at the end of the game when it's nitty gritty?
Right.
Those are your kids. But yeah, it's one of those things where, you go back and forth and you go, man, I'd love to put so-and-so in at a starting spot, but what she provides to us as a spark coming off the bench is so invaluable.
Haley Tavis against Cal.
Yeah, exactly.
And Pitt Johnstown.
You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
Pitt Johnstown, things like that. And I think you could say that about Boston and Tori for almost the entire year. When they were, until they started, that was that spark. You look at Boston, our first game at Edinburgh when we beat them, she had 19 points. Do you know what I mean? And then you look at, someone like Tori who comes out and is consistent with that. And sometimes I know, I sit back and I, play Monday morning quarterback, Sunday, whatever you want to call it. You're like, man, if I could have put her in there, but I just, we talk about it as a staff. It's like this spark they're giving us is too valuable. And I've had players. My last school, I had a player. She came in. She could play any position. She felt more comfortable coming off the bench. I started her, and she got nervous, sweaty hands. You know what I mean?
Wow.
Just it affects people differently. And then I said, hey, I'm gonna put you back on. And she's like, okay, I think I'm a little bit better. Came right in. And you don't want to. One of the things as a coach I don't want to do is put people in spots that they're uncomfortable in when you're asking them to produce. Different story in practice. We'll practice trying to break a press against 7 or 8 people. Because if you can do that, you could probably do it against 5, and if you're pressuring the ball, and all that other stuff. And when we're working on our zone, we're going against 7 players. You know what I mean? So now it's only one basketball, but it's the idea of we're trying to do that to make them better. It's like why you dribble 2 basketballs at once? Why do you practice that? So you can develop confidence,
right?
And you can do different things. But the one thing you don't want to do is put someone in, and it doesn't go well for them, because then the confidence kind of sinks, and that's a big thing. You know what I mean? Because sometimes you can spend all season trying to bring somebody's confidence up.
Sure.
And that's tough.
Goes back to social media too, in today's reactionary society of sports. But hey, how much does it help to have? And I know Jonathan Jin didn't get any big headlines for all the hard work he did, but you got an award-winning assistant coaching staff. Christina Harvey took.
I think we got 2 of them there in that sense, because they're both valuable. But the 30 under 30 for Coach Harvey being recognized, that's a national award, and they only take so many. And Coach Harvey, both of them have been a godsend since they've stepped onto this campus. But like I said in the article, Coach Harvey does a lot of the little things that she doesn't need to ask to do. And it's not, and that word isn't about X's and O's, because as an assistant, I was an assistant one time, the rate of you giving game strategy or a play, it's very minimal. It's more of the other stuff that you do, the support behind the scenes, that type of stuff, the good cop, bad cop type thing. And those are the things that, as an assistant coach, you want to grow. Yeah, there's recruiting and there's that, but I think for the most part, it's just, how well do you do your job? And what do you provide? And for her to get recognized like that, I'm super proud of her.
It just makes sense, that continuity. You got the coaching accolades, you have the accolades that came out about the players after the year. It all kind of culminated there late. Of course, you didn't get the result you wanted at Slippery Rock, but a really close game there.
Yeah.
Nonetheless, you go into Edinboro, and that game, it's safe to say, you kind of controlled throughout.
Yeah, they made a run there towards the end, like I knew they would, and we didn't panic, and just super proud of them, because we had people step up and just play really, really well. Boston had another good game. She likes playing in Macomb. With 15 points, I think that's 20. She has 30-some points in there, 19, 35, do the math, 34, what is that, something like that. Point-wise there. So she did that. Sydney came off, had a really good game. Chelsea had a great game. Our starting group, and Tori had another great game as far as points and rebounds. And then, Lauren chipping in with 5 and playing really well, grabbing some boards. And Nicole, Nicole with 7 and grabbing 6 boards. Those are all big things. And those are team wins, and those are what you need. It's what you need when it's win or go home.
And it was won with defense, which I would say, which is all the more impressive when you watch in their last game, Edinboro. I'm watching Jonte Walton. She just decides, all right, I'm going to shoot this, and she makes it most of the time.
Yeah.
That's all there is to it. She creates on her own and then makes her shots.
And I thought we did a good job on her in every game we played against her this year. I mean, she's a talented kid, and if you can hold all their other players, and Michaela's a phenomenal player. She went off every game we played against her, but if you can keep some of those others in check, you stand a chance to win. And we held them to 32% shooting for the game, where we shot 49% from the field and 41% from the three. So. And we made some free throws down the stretch, so we made more than our opponent took. So that's always a key stat we look at as well.
Did you like the matchup or just the effort against that team?
I think it's a little bit of both.
Okay.
I think it's a little bit of both. I think that rivalry that we had, that we have. I think that's one thing, and just the confidence when you've been into a team's gym and you've beat them there. I think that helps with the mental state, if you want to call it that, and not finishing strong enough and finishing 5th, it is what it is. We can't go back and change that. Turnovers got us in the Slippery Rock game, just like turnovers got us in the Cal game. We kind of did better in the Edinboro game because we only had 18. I say only, but when you're having like 28 and 25 in other games, 18 seems reasonable. And I know in the 18 that we had, we always sit down and talk to our kids about, hey, you got loose with it here, you got loose with it here. There was another bad pass, so now you're down to 15, and I think take this left pinky and sell it to get 15 turnovers a game for the season. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I know how turnovers cost us this year.
Cal, let's talk about that game
Yeah,
because
yeah.
the end result 80-68, but you are a point away from being tied at half. And
Yeah, we
that
climbed back.
team,
Climb back
when
in.
you think about the first time you were in that building,
That year, oh yeah, it's PTSD.
it's crazy.
You know, you go back in there, we got drilled by 34, I think it was. And that's the thing going in. And we didn't start off the greatest that game, not as bad as we did the last time we were in there. But we composed ourselves. And we held it together as far as the first half. And then we end up taking the lead and going up 3 in the third. And then it's just the turnovers. We end up having 28 turnovers in that game, and we lose by 12. You know what I mean? And you know when you look at how many points they scored off of it, it's a little bit more than 12.
Right.
You know that. But I thought Haley gave us a great first half. She came in, put in all her points in that first half. And when you go into a game and say 4 out of your 5 starters are going to get 10 or more points, and a kid off the bench with 10,
Yep.
I'm giving you the thumbs up saying, yeah, I'll take that any day of the week.
Right.
But turnovers got us. Turnovers got us there. When you have kids that have 8 in a game and 4 and 4 and 4, that's 28 turnovers. That just doesn't end.
Were most of those in the second half?
They
Or
were.
That's what I thought.
They were. We had a few in the first, but we had more in the second.
That team, that
And they're playing for a regional tonight.
right. They're
So,
good.
Yeah, they're a nice team.
Barrett's, is she the best player in the league?
Yeah. The PSAC voted that. She got offensive and defensive player of in the year, and I agree with that. I think we have a lot of good players. She's really talented because she does it on both ends. The other young lady who's phenomenal is
Sporio.
She's good too, but I'm talking about IUP, who could be player of the year is Appleby.
Yeah.
What she does at her size, it's unbelievable.
Yep.
Unbelievable. But the reason why they're there is because they're great teams. It's not one player. Because you can have Barrett in like in this game, in the game we played, we helped the last game we played her. She had 34. She had 16 this game.
Yeah.
But somebody else stepped up and had 22. Sporio had 22, and then Jasper. I think I watched the regional their last game against I think it was Glenville State. Jasper was they couldn't really stop her. She's so quick and fast. Glenville State they had a hard time keeping her in front of her. And Glenville State's a good team. You know what I mean? So, good teams win. Good teams move on. You don't see winning a national championship having one player. Do you know what I'm saying?
Sure.
You look on the men's and the women's side, who won it the last couple of years? Really good teams. You look at the Villanova teams. You look at the North Carolina team that won it. That's a great team. Yeah, they have some really good individual players. But gosh, that Carolina team that won, Hicks, you name them, May, what's his face? I can't think of his. Yeah, it's May right now. They had all the other. I'm thinking of kids. He's with the Sacramento Kings. I'm getting all mixed up now. They had a great team and had people come off the bench. It's not one player that gets it done.
Right.
One player might have a great game, but look at the Gonzaga teams that made it to the Final Four. There's really good players on the team, but they're a great team.
Sure.
That's what wins it.
All right, Coach. I wonder in that game, the effort of Haley Tavis, you saw the emotion of Lauren Tavis afterwards. She didn't want to leave the court as a Lady Knight for the last time, graduating as a senior. Wonder if Haley brought her a little bit extra, knowing that was going to be it. I wonder if Haley will step up next year.
I think those are all great questions. I think when it's tough. When you have a group of seniors that give you everything, and Lauren has started the last 3 years, and Nicole the last 2, and they were contributors since they've been here. When their season comes to an end, it's a tough thing. It really is, and it's that bittersweet because you're happy for them. And then the bitter part is I want to extend it more. I wish we could have done things better. But yeah, I think next year, all being said, I'm excited about it. I think we have a great nucleus coming back. We have some really good recruits coming in that I think are going to gel really, really well. We're not We're not done recruiting yet, but the young ladies that we signed, Ellie Benham and Margot Lutzenheiser, are two tremendous players that had amazing high school careers. And just to be able to blend them in with this group that we have coming back, man, that's exciting. That's exciting, and I know we're going to add a couple more to the recruiting list here late in April, which is exciting as well. But I just think there's a lot of people that are going to step up next year, and like I said, we have a good crew back, and we just got to work hard. We got to learn to take care of the ball and really value the possession and get over that turnover thing. But I think we're going to do some good damage.
Well, you went some places this year, as far as Alaska, in fact.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, we put some miles on this year.
Yes, sir.
Put some miles on this year, and those are the type of things that I think, when you sit back with players, and I've had the opportunity to do this, I've been in it long enough to talk with players later, 5-6 years later. And some of the things they bring up, a lot of times it's not what happened in a game. It's the stuff that happened on the court. It's the stuff that happened on a road trip, on a bus, going somewhere. It's always, hey, remember when we were going here? Like I know one of the things that will come up. Do you remember when we were going to Alaska and the bus didn't come and pick us up, so we had to hop in vans? There's a whole story to it. And we get there and all the flights are canceled, and we have to sit in the airport, and then
talk about a team bonding.
Yeah, talk about team bonding when you really want to just punch somebody in the face because nothing's going right for you. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Nothing's going right. And just to see that little bit of adversity that the kids have and not flip out and just really keep calm and cool and be like, hey, it is what it is. Or in, Seattle-Tacoma airport, so we got to wait a little bit longer. We'll all talk about the guy who started yelling at the agent about not getting on a flight. So when kids hear this, they'll be like, oh, I remember that guy. That type of thing, and then we're all taking bets. He's not making it on this flight. That's how belligerent he was getting.
Oh, no.
But he ended up, I lost the bet. He didn't bet anything crazy. It was just, I don't think he's getting on this flight. Oh, he did. But, just little things like that.
Or how about Jim Brunelli on the phone with the bus company trying to fix the door on the way to Cal?
That's another one. We got the bus driver driving. Velvet, I think was her name.
She's like, here, you take the phone.
You take the phone. And we're in there doing like an inspection as we're rolling down the road.
Ah.
Those are the things that you're going to remember. Do you know what I mean? And some of the things you don't want to remember, but those are things you're going to laugh about and talk about. And I think that's a pretty cool thing.
Coach, it was a fun season, and thank you for the time. And hey, why don't we do this again next year?
It's great. Hey, Alex, I appreciate you, Josh behind the camera, the sports information staff at Gannon. Another tremendous year. Appreciate everything everybody does, especially you wanting to go on these trips with us.
It's a blast.
And your time and effort for it. We really appreciate it.
Thank you, Coach. This is the last one of the season, the Gannon Lady Knights Coaches Show. Appreciate it.
Yep, take care.